Hello, my name is Christopher Lamb. Before I start, I apologize for making you watch a blank screen for 10 minutes. And yes, I am sick if you can't tell. I will be talking about an event in current world history. The story is about Abdullah Kurdi. I will now read an article, Alan Kurdi's Dad, Nobody's Doing Anything. The father of a 3-year-old boy whose lifeless body photographed on a Turkish beach drew the world's attention to the plight of refugees, says little has changed in the years since. Abdullah Kurdi, a Syrian who now lives in Iraq, lost not only 3-year-old Aylan, but also son Galip, 5, and wife Rihan, 35, 1 year ago Friday. Kurdi was quoted by Germany's Bild newspapers as saying this week that he's glad the photo of his son's body was published to make clear to people what is happening. But he's upset that more hasn't been done for refugees since. Politicians said after the death of my family, never again. He said, everyone allegedly wanted to do something after the photos that have moved them. But what is happening now? The dying goes on and nobody is doing anything. Kurdi urged others contemplating the journey that he undertook with his family to rethink their plans. I'd like to say to the refugees in the refugee camps that they shouldn't make this journey, he said. The danger is too great, it's not worth it. But as CBS News correspondent Holly Williams reported on Wednesday, there are still coming. By the middle of this week alone, about 10,000 migrants have been rescued off of Libya, many escaping war and poverty in Africa. Abdullah Kurdi's sister, Tima Kurdi, posted this week on her Facebook page that we must never forget the price for freedom. Please keep Aylan and all those who died for the chance of freedom from the shackles of war in our daily prayers, she wrote. I will now read Alan Kurdi's father in plea for migrants a year after tragedy. The father of Alan Kurdi, the 3-year-old boy who drowned a year ago as his family fled Syria, has urged to Europe to keep its doors open to migrants. Abdullah Kurdi told BBC he still hoped that world leaders could stop the war in Syria. Haunting images of Alan's body lying on Turkish beach a year ago focused world attention on the refugee crisis. Abdullah Kurdi survived and now lives in northern Iraq. He told BBC's Fergal Keane that he thinks of his sons every day, but the first anniversary of their deaths on September 2nd is particularly difficult. Every day I think of them, but today I felt as though they had come to me and slept with me. This makes me sad again, he said. At first, the world was anxious to help the refugees, but this did not even last a month. In fact, the situation got worse. The war has escalated and more people are leaving. I hope that all the world leaders can try to do good and stop the wars so that people can go back to normal life. After the tragedy, Mr. Kurdi flew the bodies of his wife and children back to Kobane in North Syria, where they were buried. This article is about Abdullah Kurdi saying that nobody is doing anything about people who are dying from a war in Syria, after a year when his 3-year-old son was found beached on the shore dead. The reason why his son was beached on the shore dead is because his family sought refuge from a war in Syria. Abdullah lost his family that day, his 3-year-old son Aylan, his 5-year-old son Galib, and his 37-year-old wife Rihan. It has been a family since his family was lost. Abdullah says, I'd like to say to the refugees in the refugee camps that they shouldn't make this journey, and the danger is too great, it's not worth it. What he means is that trying to refuge from a war is too dangerous and it's not worth to lose your family members for it. This story is lamenting because Abdullah Kurdi lost his family due to trying to escape the war and feels that no one really cares that people are still dying because of the war in Syria. This story relates to world history because the story is about a war in Syria that causes to take out Abdullah's family. I chose this article because the story shows of how a war can affect families that are seeking refuge. The lesson that can be learned from this story is that many families are hurt by wars and it is too dangerous for them. I like the article because it shows how wars take a huge impact on families and the grief of family members who die. It shows us that wars should not go on and needs to stop. People who could benefit from this reading are reporters who can reflect on this article. People can see the differences of primary sources of the story. These articles relate to one of the themes in HEPEX. They relate to politics. They relate to this theme because it deals with conflicts and is about a war in Syria that has caused families being lost. This is a picture of 3-year-old Aylan washed up on the beach. You can't really see him because he's in the bottom of the picture, but if you do, just search it up. This is Aylan Kurdi's dad, Abdullah Kurdi. He's crying because he misses his son. If you don't know, this is Tima Kurdi, Abdullah Kurdi's sister. She's the one who posted a blog on her Facebook page that we must never forget the price of freedom and please keep Aylan and all those who died for the chance of freedom from the shackles of war in our daily prayers. This is a picture of Aylan and Gallup. Aylan is on the left and Gallup is on the right. I'm going to answer some of my questions. When did they exactly die? They died on September 4th, 2015. By the middle of the week alone, around 10,000 migrants have been rescued off the coast of Libya. I wrote, what are migrants? Migrants is to migrate to different places. So 10,000 people migrated to the coast of Libya. I also asked, how did they die? And in the article it says that Galib and his mother Rehan also drowned while their boat sank in the route to Greek island of Kos. In the article, a quote from Tima, she says, please keep Aylan and all those who died from a chance of freedom from the shackles of war in our daily prayers. My question is, what does she mean by shackles of war? And I think that the answer is being trapped in the war, not being able to escape from it, and not really finding refuge, and just dying. That's sad. Last question was from a quote. I hope that all leaders of the world can try to do good and stop the wars so that people can go back to normal life. And I asked, what does normal life mean? And I think that it means to have his children back so he can live normally and peacefully and just live his life. Some new vocabulary are lament, a passionate expression of grief or sorrow. Contemplate, look thoughtfully for a long time at. Dinghies, a small boat for recreation or racing. Acquit, free from a criminal charge by a verdict of not guilty. This is the ending of the video. I hope you like staring at about 6 pictures. And yeah, please tell me that you weren't bored. I'm gonna link sources because sources help you. Yeah, thanks for watching, I guess. I don't know. This is just a random video. I hope I don't do this again. Please don't make me do it. Please.